Section 3 of A Guidebook of Art, Architecture, and Historic Interests in Pennsylvania, edited by Margaretta Archambault. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Tatiana Chichilla. The Commonwealth, or State of Pennsylvania, Penn's Woods, Part 2. Notable Architecture. Architecture should comprise beauty, fitness, and stability. It is classified by various styles from the past, necessarily developed by modern characterists. Eras of great national vigor invariably express themselves architecturally by means of great scale. To illustrate, the pyramids at Giza and the great temple at Karnak mark the zenith of Egyptian civilization. The Parthenon echoes the halcyon days of Greece. Imperial Rome boasted the baths of Caracalla and the Colosseum. The glorious Renaissance in Italy culminated in the grandeur of St. Peter's Church, and the consecration and craftsmanship of Gothic builders crashed to earth with the lofty vaulting of Beauvais. Also consider, in chronological order, the buildings of our own time. They present a mute record of the ever-increasing virility of the nation. In the lace-like tower of the Woolworth Building, piercing the blue heaven for 1,000 feet, we read the tremendous advance and limitless possibilities of the country whose dreams become realities. Among the early colonial or Georgian buildings are Carpenter's Hall, Chestnut Street below 4th, Christ Church, 2nd Street above Market, Hamilton Mansion and Woodland Cemetery, 39th Street and Woodland Avenue, Independence Hall, Group, Chestnut Street between 5th and 6th, Old Swedes Church, Gloria Dei, Swanson Street near Front and Christian Streets, Pennsylvania Hospital, 8th and Pine Streets, St. Peter's Church, 3rd and Pine Streets. Egyptian, Synagogue Adath Jeshurun, Broad and Diamond Streets, Indiana Limestone, Architects Thomas, Churchman, and Molitor. Classic, Academy of Music, Broad and Locust Streets, Interior Classic, Brick, built 1850, Architects Lebrun and Runge. The audience room is very large, modeled after celebrated opera houses in Europe. Plan of the balconies is now considered obsolete, but the general effect is undeniably fine and has a flavor of the Second Empire. Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul, Logan Square, brownstone, built about 1860. Architects Napoleon Lebrun for the building, John Notman for the facade. It is impressive and dignified. United States Custom House, Chestnut Street below 5th, Architect John Haviland. Girard College, Corinthian and Girard Avenues. Architect Thomas U. Walters, modeled after the Parthenon. Girard National Bank, 116 South 3rd Street. Portico of the 3rd Street front is Corinthian, studied from the Parthenon and Temple of Saturnus. It stands on a stylobate, elevated above the pavement by steps on 3 sides, which gives it emphasis and dignity, and marks it as the feature of approach to the building. This portico is flanked on either side by a pavilion of pilasters, of the same character as the columns of the portico, the space between the pilasters being pierced with windows, which are adorned with architraves and cornices, supported by carved brackets. The pilasters and columns are surmounted by a cornice pediment and balustrade of great elegance of detail and proportion, studied from the best class of Roman antique work. The tympanum of the pediment is enriched by the date of the erection, 1795, and the American eagle and bas-relief carving, of excellent modeling, from the pavement to the apex of the portico, is 56 feet. Entire front is of Pennsylvania blue marble. The building was erected for the Bank of the United States in 1797 and followed closely the lines of the Dublin Exchange. Architect Samuel Blodgett. Marble work was done by Claudius Legrand in his yard at 10th and Market Streets. This was the first building in Philadelphia to be erected with portico and pillars. In 1901, it was carefully renovated by James H. Windrum. Girard Trust Company, northwest corner of Broad and Chestnut Streets, built in 1908. Architects McKim, Mead, and White, New York. Furness and Evans, Philadelphia. Has steel frame and Gustavino dome faced with white marble. While the form of this building was probably suggested by the Pantheon at Rome, details of the order are rather Greek, and the colonnettes, forming the mullions of the windows, suggest the Certosa di Pavia. Ridgeway Library, South Broad and Christian Streets. Doric. Built 1880. Granite. Architect Addison Hutton. Old Stock Exchange, 2nd Walnut and Dock Streets, white marble. Has semicircular Corinthian colonnade, and lantern modern after the Temple of Lysicrides. Architect William Strickland. St. Patrick's Church, 21st and Locust Streets, Roman, classic, brick and granite, built 1913. Architects Lafarge and Morris, New York. Facade of this church is big in conception, full of dignity and repose, and forms the most successful termination to the vista when viewed from Rittenhouse Street. United States Mint, 17th and Spring Garden Streets, built 1898, light gray granite. Architect James Knox Taylor. Moorish. Horticultural Hall, Fairmount Park, built 1876, architect Herman G. Schwarzman. Road of Shalom Synagogue, Mount Vernon, and North Broad Streets. Byzantine. First Baptist Church, 17th Street above Chestnut. Stone, Edgar V. Sealer, architect. Jacob Reed's Sons, store, 1424 Chestnut Street. Brick, marble, and tile, built 1904. Price and McLanahan, architects. Facade is one of the most interesting in the city. The column caps are symbolic of the business conducted therein, as is also the tile work on the entrados of the arch, which depicts the shearing and manufacturing of wool and has the richness of an oriental rug. Gothic. Academy of the Fine Arts, Broad and Cherry Streets. Venetian polychrome Gothic. Brick, limestone, and tile. Architects, Furness and Hewitt. Facade is interesting as the most prominent example of the Venetian Gothic style used in Philadelphia in the latter part of the 19th century. Broad and Arch Streets, Methodist Episcopal Church, white marble. St. Clement's Protestant Episcopal Church, 20th and Cherry Streets, Norman, built 1857, brownstone. Architect John Notman. Later improvements, new roof, apse, Lady Chapel and parish buildings by Horace Wells Sellers. St. James's Protestant Episcopal Church, 22nd and Walnut Streets, English decorated Gothic with sculptured band around the tower, Ohio green sandstone and granite. Architect G. W. Hewitt. St. Luke's Protestant Episcopal Church, Germantown Avenue and Coulter Street, granite and limestone. Architect Richard Upjohn of New York, who first used the principles of Gothic architecture in America. Rectory, St. Margaret's Home, Parish House, and rood screen in the church are by Cope and Stewardson. Organ screen is by Pearson. St. Mark's Protestant Episcopal Church, Locust Street below 17th, early decorated Gothic, brownstone. Architect John Notman. Later improvements include the Lady Chapel. Architects Cope and Stewardson. Second Presbyterian Church, 21st and Walnut Streets, French with early English details. Resembles the parish church in Norfolk, England. Architect Henry Sims. St. Stephen's Protestant Episcopal Church, 10th Street above Chestnut. Early Gothic with 2 octagonal towers. Stone, interior decorated by Frank Furness. Rich and unusual color. South Memorial Church of the Advocate, 18th and Diamond Streets, French. Architect C. M. Burns. Built 1897. Interior profusely adorned with carving. Windows by Clayton and Bell. Romanesque. Church of St. Francis de Sales, Roman Catholic. 47th Street and Springfield Avenue, brick and terracotta. Gustavino dome and mosaic, a very beautiful example of the style. Built 1912. Architect Henry D. Daggett. Holy Trinity Protestant Episcopal Church, 19th and Walnut Streets, Norman, brownstone. Architect John Notman. Masonic Temple, Broad and Filbert Streets. Norman with elaborately carved porch. Gray granite, built about 1870. Architect James H. Windrum. Church of the Savior, Protestant Episcopal, 38th Street north of Chestnut Street. Norman. Architect Charles M. Burns. The half dome and apse are decorated by Edwin H. Blashfield, said to be one of the finest examples of mosaic work in this country. Alms boxes and reredos, designed by the late James Warner, are also of considerable interest. Renaissance. Art Club, southwest corner of Broad and Chancellor Streets, Italian and French influences. Brick and Indiana limestone. Architect Frank Miles Day. City Hall, open daily 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Broad and Market Streets on site of Penn Square, formerly Center Square, on which was a Friends meeting house in 1685. Rochambeau's encampment, 1781, Wayne's encampment, 1794, and the first city waterworks in 1801. This is the largest single building in America. Covers 4.5 acres. French, begun in 1871, white marble with granite base. Built in the form of a hollow square with passageways connecting both Market and Broad Streets. Contains 662 rooms. The tower, on the north center, about 550 feet high, is surmounted by a colossal bronze statue of William Penn. Center and corner pavilions have attic stories and hanging stairs of polished granite. Architect John MacArthur, Jr. Chief points of interest are the council chambers, mayor's reception room, with portraits of Philadelphia mayors, and state courtrooms. From the roof is an excellent view of the city. To Alexander Milne Calder, Philadelphia is indebted for the applied sculpture, the artistic feature of the building, many scores of figures, symbolic of the history of this nation and the world, fine types of Indians and other races, the Negro heads being known among artists as the best of their kind. Ornamentation symbolic of music, art, science, and commerce is used as an integral part of this great public edifice, an inherent factor in true decoration where it comes into its own, as well as in gardens, parks, boulevards, and plazas. Statues outside, on City Hall pavement, are General John F. Reynolds by Rogers, General McClellan, The Pilgrim by St. Gaudens, The Quaker by Giuseppe Donato, Stephen Girard and John Wanamaker by J. Massey Rind, Joseph Leidy, M.D., President McKinley, and John C. Bullitt. College of Physicians, 22nd Street above Chestnut, English, built 1910, architects Cope and Stewardson. Dropsy College, Broad Street below York, French, architects Pitcher and Takow. Hamilton Court, 39th and Chestnut Streets, Italian, steel frame faced with brick and limestone, an apartment house built around an open court, recalling very strongly, both in color and detail, the earlier Venetian palaces. Memorial Hall, Fairmount Park, German, granite, built 1876. Architect Herman G. Schwarzman, one of the best designed monumental buildings in the city. Union League Edition, 15th and Sansom Streets, Italian, steel frame faced with limestone, built 1912. Architect Horace Trumbauer, a very dignified and restrained elevation, suggestive of a Roman palace. Spanish. The First Church of Christ Scientist, Walnut Street above 40th. Architects Carrere and Hastings. Pennsylvania Institute for the Instruction of the Blind, Overbrook, Spanish Mission. Architects Cope and Stewardson. English. Mellor, Meigs, and Howe Office, 205 South Juniper Street, rough brick. Architects Mellor and Meigs. The Athenaeum of Philadelphia, 219 South 6th Street. Architect John Notman, has best points of work done in 1850, showing traditions of the past, with developments and characteristics of its own. Interior has a most beautiful reading room. The university buildings from 34th to 40th Streets, Walnut Street to Woodland Avenue, add much to the architectural attraction of West Philadelphia. Entrances to the campus near the dormitories are fine Tudor gateways, wrought iron with brick and stone piers. See University of Pennsylvania. Honorable James Arthur Balfour said in 1917, "The Americans build Brobdingnagian cathedrals and use them for office buildings." The skyscrapers, Adelphia Hotel, 13th and Chestnut Streets, Italian Renaissance, brick and terracotta, built 1914. Architect Horace Trumbauer. The arabesque detail on lower stories of the facade and pattern formed by projecting bricks on the stories above are worthy of notice. Interiors are pleasing and architecturally correct. Bell Telephone, a Parkway building, corner of 17th and Arch Street. Height above ground, 273 feet. Stone with interesting facade. Architect John T. Windrum. Bellevue Stratford Hotel, southwest corner Broad and Walnut Streets, French Renaissance, steel frame faced with terracotta. Architects Hewitt Brothers. Most beautifully proportioned and artistic business building in Philadelphia. Bourse, 4th to 5th Streets below Market, adaptation of the Francois Premier, with fine feeling of dignity and placing within the broad paving. Architects Hewitt Brothers. Bulletin Building, Juniper and Filbert Streets, French, steel frame faced with terracotta. Architect Edgar V. Sealer. Curtis Publishing Company, 6th and Walnut Streets. Modern adaptation of Georgian, steel frame faced with white marble and brick. Built 1910. Architect Edgar V. Sealer. Faces Independence Square, and although thoroughly modern, harmonizes perfectly, both in color and design, with the historic Georgian group, of which Independence Hall is the center, and adds to the quiet colonial atmosphere of the square. Interior is excellently designed. Entrance, lobby, editorial offices, and the employees' dining room being of particular interest. Mechanical equipment is the finest of its kind in the world, producing an average of 5,558,600 complete paid-for publications per issue of the Ladies' Home Journal, Saturday Evening Post, and The Country Gentleman for 6 months, ending June 30th, 1924. 20 original paintings, and the mosaic The Dream Garden by Maxfield Parrish, a mural made of Tiffany Favril glass. The work proceeded through an entire year in the Tiffany Studios, where each piece of glass was fired under the personal supervision of Mr. Tiffany and Mr. Briggs. Time can never impair its freshness, color, and luminosity. Visitors will be shown the entire plant daily, except Saturdays and Sundays, between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Farm Journal, 7th Street and Washington Square, Georgian. Colonial brick and Indiana limestone. Architects Bunting and Shrigley. Harrison Building, 15th and Market Streets, Francois Premier. Built 1895. Architects Cope and Stewardson. An unusual example of well-studied, though elaborate Renaissance detail. Notice the graceful roof, recalling the charming chateaux along the Loire. Land Title Building, southwest corner of Broad and Chestnut Streets. Modern adaptation of classic. Steel frame faced with gray granite and brick. Architects D.H. Burnham and Company, Chicago. Contrast the scale of the order in the newer portion of the building on Broad Street entrance with the insignificant order in the old building. Manufacturers Club, Broad and Walnut Streets, Italian Renaissance. Built 1914. Steel frame, faced with limestone. Architects Simon and Bassett. Has a handsome facade, crowned by a darling Florentine cornice. Interior unusually interesting in detail. Racket Club, 16th Street below Walnut, Georgian. Colonial brick, marble trimmings. Architect Horace Trumbauer. Real Estate Trust Building, southeast corner of Broad and Chestnut Streets, Renaissance. Architect Edgar V. Sealer. Ritz-Carlton Hotel, Broad and Walnut Streets. Modern adaptation, style of the Adam Brothers. Built 1912. Steel frame, faced with colonial brick and Indiana limestone. Architects Warren and Wetmore, New York. Horace Trumbauer, Philadelphia, associate. The keynote of this structure is refinement and good taste, a recognition of the fact that commercialism and good architecture are by no means incompatible. Stephen Girard Building, 12th and Girard Streets, modern adaptation of Greek classic, built about 1894. Steel frame, faced with brick and marble. Architect John T. Windrum. Details of this building are interesting. Note the bronze caryatid figures, which support the heads of the second-story windows. The wrought iron gates to the court on Girard Street rank with the best modern wrought ironwork in the city. Wanamaker's Store, Chestnut, Market, Juniper, and 13th Streets. Modern adaptation of Italian Renaissance. Built 1910. Steel frame with light gray granite. Architects D. H. Burnham and Company, Chicago. Exterior of this store is one of the finest in the city. It is simple, dignified, and impressive without being monotonous. The great scale of the Doric order at the base, the severe wall treatment, and the splendid cornice combine to express a purity and loftiness seldom equaled in commercial buildings. A guide may be had, upon application, who will conduct visitors through the entire building, including the kitchens. West Philadelphia High School, 46th and Walnut Streets, Tudor Gothic. Rough brick and Indiana limestone. Built 1913 by the city architect. Widener Memorial Home for Crippled Children, Broad Street and Olney Avenue, Georgian. Built 1906. Harvard brick and marble trimmings. Architect Horace Trumbauer. Has a very beautifully designed wrought iron gateway. To make a city beautiful is to give it wide streets, lined with handsome buildings and houses, plenty of parks, boulevards, and to rid it of rows upon rows of semi-shanty premises, small, ill-kept, and unattractive. Each new building that is put up within the city limits should, in its arrangements and architecture, help toward making the locality in which it is erected more attractive than at the present time. This idea has been carried out in the Carnegie Free Library buildings, scattered about within the limits of the municipality, as their varied exteriors are very distinguished, from an architectural point. The interiors are designed to avoid the multiplication of corridors. Principal rooms used for reading, the art, and reference rooms are stately and fine. An interesting gateway is the entrance to the Mannheim Cricket Club, Germantown, Georgian, consisting of massive brick piers surmounted by stone caps, connected at the top with a wrought iron supporting lantern, below which are the heavy wrought iron central gates. This, with smaller gateways and a most attractive brick wall, forms the enclosure for the grounds. Architects McKim, Mead, and White. Art collections and art schools. Philadelphia, being the seat of government of colonial times, is extremely rich in historic portraits. They are in the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, Independence Hall, Historical Society of Pennsylvania, Carpenter's Hall, American Philosophical Society, Pennsylvania Hospital, Academy of Natural Science, the Library Company of Philadelphia, Mercantile Library, College of Physicians, United States Mint, University of Pennsylvania, many banks and insurance companies. Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, Broad Street above Arch, open free daily, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Fee for special exhibitions. Was the first art institute in America, founded 1805. Its history is in no small measure the history of American art itself, and dates back to 1791, when Charles Willson Peale attempted to organize in Philadelphia a school of art. From this grew, in 1794, the Columbianum, which held the first exhibition of paintings, in 1795, in Independence Hall. The permanent collection of paintings and sculpture now includes the Gallery of National Portraiture, with the largest number of portraits by Gilbert Stuart to be seen in any museum, and notable works by other early American painters, Benjamin West, Washington Allston, Matthew Pratt, the Peels, Sully, Neagle, Inman, Eichholz, Trumbull, and Bass Otis, the Gibson Collection, largely composed of the Continental schools, Temple Collection of Modern American Paintings, important works by many of the world's great artists, and the Phillips collection of about 40,000 etchings and engravings. Annual exhibitions are miniatures, watercolors, illustration, and etchings in November and December, oil painting and sculpture in February and March, considered the salon of living American artists, also special exhibitions and lectures on art. The Academy cooperates with the system of international catalog exchange. Since the beginning of the Academy's existence, men and women whose names have become illustrious in the annals of American art have been enrolled as students. The schools are equipped in every way to teach the technique of painting and sculpture. The faculty is composed of representative artists of the day. Collections, galleries, classrooms, models, and casts are admirably fitted to afford instruction fully equal to that obtainable in Europe. Many substantial prizes are awarded annually to students upon the merits of their work. The William Emlyn Cresson Traveling Scholarships send, on average, 16 students abroad yearly for 4 months, and enable them to return to the Academy and continue their studies without any payment of tuition fee. The Fellowship of the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, organized 1897, sends out annually 2 exhibitions of original oil paintings by notable artists, one to other cities, the other to the Philadelphia Public Schools, where they remain 1 month in each school. While there, the paintings are explained by a member of the fellowship to school children, thus teaching them true appreciation of art. A picture purchase fund was established in 1912, with which pictures have been bought from fellowship exhibitions and placed in Philadelphia libraries and public schools. John Graver Johnson Museum of Paintings, 510 South Broad Street, left by bequest April 1917 to the city of Philadelphia, is open to the public. Throughout Europe and America, this vast collection of old and modern masters is famous for extent and merit. No other American collection has so wide a range and so even a quality, says F. Mason Perkins. It contains scores of examples which cannot be duplicated at any price. Noted for the completeness of different schools of painting. Philadelphia School of Design for Women, southwest corner of Broad and Master Streets. First industrial art school in this country. Similar to the École Professionnelle des Femmes in Paris. Was founded in 1844 by Mrs. Sarah Peters, the American wife of the British consul in Philadelphia, in her own house. Later, the Franklin Institute assumed charge of the classes until 1853, when it was incorporated, and a board of directors elected. Its aim is to put art students in touch with business demands, as well as to cultivate to the highest degree their artistic ability. The normal art course embodies all the special studies required by modern educators for teachers of art and design, and with courses in the fine arts, illustration, and costume illustration, has trained many women, now earning handsome emoluments and winning distinction. The residence on Broad Street, forming entrance to the school, which occupies large buildings in the rear, was the home of Edwin Forrest, a famous tragedian. The fine gallery which he erected to house his collection of paintings, now at the Forrest Home for Actors at Holmesburg, is used for annual exhibitions of the school's painting classes. Edwin Forrest died here in 1872, and John Sartain in 1897. John Sartain was celebrated as a mezzotint engraver and lived here with his daughter, Miss Emily Sartain, then principal of the school, herself a skilled painter and engraver in mezzotint, who, with her well-chosen faculty of eminent artists, carried to a prosperous fulfillment Mrs. Peters' initiative effort. Pennsylvania Museum and School of Industrial Art was founded in 1876 as a concrete embodiment of the lessons taught by the Centennial Exhibition, and has developed forms of artistic craftsmanship that were practically unknown in America. The museum is housed in Memorial Hall, Fairmount Park, memorial of the Centennial, Modern Renaissance, architect Herman J. Schwarzman. Open free, Mondays, 12 p.m., other days 9:30 a.m., closing 5 p.m., Sundays 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Established as a museum of art in all its branches and technical application, with a special view to the development of the art industries of the state. Among its important collections are the W.P. Willstash paintings, about 500 old masters with their schools, and contemporary international paintings belonging to the city of Philadelphia, with $700,000 endowment, interest to be used for their care and increase by the commissioners of Fairmount Park. Among the many brilliant artists represented are Whistler, Munchausen, Sorolla, Zulago, Velázquez, the Barbizon, Italian and Dutch schools of landscape. The famous Bayeux tapestry is here, laces, vestments, porcelains, enamels, carved ivories, period furniture, some of the Edwin Atlee Barber collection of American pottery and porcelains, Lewis collection of Swiss stained glass, 16th and 17th centuries, Frischmuth collection of colonial antiquities. A bureau of identification is maintained where art objects may be classified. The school is at the northwest corner of Broad and Pine Streets. Porch of this building, facing Broad Street, is a fine example of Tuscan architecture, erected 1828. The school has 40 instructors. Free scholarships are given in each county of this state. This is the leading school in America in associating the study of art with practical training. Through its equipment, students not only design but actually manufacture. It includes a complete textile plant with looms, dye house, and all related appliances which make possible the production of most artistic fabrics. Other courses are cast and wrought metal, furniture, leatherwork, pottery, garden furniture and cement, mosaic, also the normal art courses, illustration, architectural drawing, modeling, interior decoration, bookbinding. Classes are attended by men and women who pursue exactly the same studies. Graduates are sought to fill lucrative positions as designers, artistic craftsmen, and art teachers. Drexel Institute, 32nd and Chestnut Streets. A day and evening technical school of art, science, and industry for men and women, founded by Anthony J. Drexel, 1891. Renaissance, brick. Architects, Wilson Brothers. The leading American and European current periodicals relating to art, science, and technology are in the library. Art Gallery contains collections owned by John D. Langenau, works by modern German masters, and Anthony J. Drexel, works of international, contemporary, modern painters. The museum, open free 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily, except Sundays, includes examples of industrial art and the decorative arts of India, Egypt, China, Japan, and Europe. Graphic Sketch Club, 719 Catherine Street, founded by Samuel S. Fleischer in 1899, to provide free an art center which should give the culture craved by many intelligent young people, to whom it had been denied by circumstances. The clubhouse is open only at night, Saturday afternoons, and all-day Sundays. This is an art club in effect as well as name. Rooms are artistically furnished in beautiful color harmonies and embellished with choice bronzes bought at our Academy exhibitions, and fine porcelains. Students are educated in art for the practical good it will do them, and cultural growth. All are day workers. The faculty is composed of well-known artists. Classes include portrait and still life painting, illustration, and sculpture. From this school have gone some of the most original workers in the schools of the Academy of the Fine Arts. Landscape classes are in session during the summer. Lectures are given on art or musical topics. Membership in the club is attained by attendance in the classes for 3 years. Public Art School, Park Avenue and Master Street, founded by Charles G. Leland, now under the direction of the Board of Public Education, open to pupils in grammar grades of public schools. A course of study was planned, including drawing, clay modeling, and wood carving, to train students to originate design and do the manual work as well, so the designer should be the artisan also. Art Club, 220 South Broad Street, annual exhibition of paintings and sculpture, gold medal awarded, and special shows by individual artists. Art Jury, City Hall, Philadelphia, created by Act of Legislature, 1907, providing that in every city of first class there shall be an art jury, composed of the mayor and 8 others, of whom shall be 1 each, painter, sculptor, architect, and park commissioner, to pass upon design and location of all buildings, bridges, arches, fountains, or fixtures to be erected in the city. City Parks Association, City Hall. Darby School of Painting, Fort Washington, Montgomery County, outdoor classes. Hugh G. Breckenridge, 10 South 18th Street, Philadelphia. Fairmount Park Art Association, organized 1871, 320 South Broad Street. Pennsylvania Society of Miniature Painters, organized 1901. Annual Fall Exhibition, Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. Philadelphia Chapter, American Institute of Architects, 1301 Stephen Girard Building, organized 1869. The Philadelphia Sketch Club, Men, 235 South Chemic Street, organized 1860. Annual Fall Exhibitions of members' work, also special exhibitions. Philadelphia Watercolor Club, Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, Annual International Exhibitions, also traveling exhibitions of members' work. Plastic Club, Women, 247 South Chemic Street, organized 1897. Annual and special exhibitions, lectures, and sketch classes. T-Square Club, 204 South Quince Street, founded 1881. Annual architectural exhibition, drafting, decorative painting, modeling, and architecture, in cooperation with Society of Beaux Arts Architects, New York City. The DeCenzo Studios for Stained Glass, 1604 Summer Street, founded 20 years ago, include designing, painting, firing, and glazing. Work is begun and completed in both modern and antique, with preference for the antique school, for architectural fitness and conventionality, also glass mosaic and mural decoration. DeCenzo's art may be seen in many important churches and buildings in this country. In the chapel at Valley Forge, and in Philadelphia may be mentioned St. Mark's Protestant Episcopal Church, Frankfurt, St. James's Protestant Episcopal Church, 22nd and Walnut Streets, St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church, 20th and Locust Streets, Synagogue Road of Shalom, Philadelphia. William Willett and Annie Lee Willett Studios for Stained Glass, 226 South 11th Street, formerly of Pittsburgh. While all the world is deploring the loss of the magnificent old glass in the cathedrals of Europe, here the art of fused glass has been raised to such perfection that their great windows have all that the old work has, of depth, glow, and shadow, under modern conditions of stability. Among their notable windows are the Sanctuary Window, West Point Military Chapel, New York, Proctor Hall, the Graduate School, Princeton, New Jersey, Great West Window, many in the churches and public buildings of Pittsburgh, Chicago, and elsewhere, in and near Philadelphia, in Summit Presbyterian Church, Carpenter and Westview Streets, Germantown, St. Michael's Sanctuary Window, High Street, Germantown, John Chambers Memorial Church, the Buchanan Memorial, St. Nathaniel's Church, Kensington, the Harrison Memorial, Holy Trinity Church, 19th and Walnut, the Lita Sullivan and the Assumption, Stratford. Notable private art collections in Philadelphia that may sometimes be seen by writing for permit, which, for variety and value, have few peers, are P.A.B. Widener's, several hundred choice and rare paintings, mostly masterpieces of great artists of the Renaissance and modern. The W.L. Elkins, many fine examples of medieval and modern portraiture, landscape, and genre painting. The John McFadden, best collection of solely 18th century English paintings in this country. The Edward T. Stotesbury, masterpieces of the English school and international contemporary art. Should these collections accompany the Willstash, now in Memorial Hall, to the Municipal Art Museum in Fairmount Park, now under construction, it would begin its career with a wealth of paintings, more comprehensive and valuable than any that ever inaugurated a similar institution, not excepting the Louvre, Pitti, Dresden, National in London, and Metropolitan, New York, which grew from small beginnings, thus placing the highest products of art within equal and easy reach of all classes. This museum will constitute the central feature of a comprehensive plan in progress at the head of the Parkway for a real art center, more imposing in scale and impressive in its entire effect than any similar art center in any American city. The Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts has been granted a site facing the Fairmount Plaza, also the Pennsylvania Museum and School of Industrial Art. End of Section 3.